Another episode of the Minnesota Furs podcast. I'm Gray, and today I am joined by Rico.
Hey.
And Serg.
Hello.
So for today, we got a couple cool updates for you, dealing with furry migration and some events that are going to be coming up pretty quick here. And we also have a really special guest for you that we will be talking about in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to hand it off to Rico so he can get the ball rolling on what's coming up.
Yeah, so a couple of the quick updates I wanted to give everyone is primarily focused on Furry Migration 2021. If anyone hasn't heard yet, Furry Migration 2021 is on for this year to be in person at the Hyatt downtown Minneapolis. So the room block is open as well as registration. So if you want to attend Furry Migration this year, head over to furrymigration.org, pick up a room, and register for the convention. There's a couple different registration tiers that you can find on that website. If you guys have any questions at all, also the Furry Migration Discord has been launched as well. This is kind of a great place for everyone to socialize and network everything related to the convention. So if you're looking for someone to share a room with, or if you need to carpool with someone, it's a great resource for you guys to use. So as we get closer to the Furry Migration dates, which would be September 10th through the 12th, we'll be updating more information on Twitter and the website, so keep posted. Currently, as it stands, Furry Migration is not enforcing COVID vaccinations, but masks are suggested and heavily recommended. There was recently a mandate change by the governor of Minneapolis with in relation to masks. So since the whole pandemic and everything, and as we roll down from the pandemic, is dynamically changing, our requirements for the convention may change. So just keep an eye on the website, and we'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, so this week we have a really special guest. We have Drake joining us. So come on in, Drake. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, guys. So, I'm again Gray. Thank you for the introduction. But yes, my name is Drake, and I run the Furs events department. So anything with events, from small ones to big ones, going from, say, like a small little movie gathering, mall outing, fursuit rom, to helping coordinate something on a bigger scale. Examples of that include like our annual Furs picnics. Of course, with the pandemic, that's kind of made things difficult, which I will definitely probably be touching on quite a bit with some of our topics. Myself and the other two people in my department are here to help you run an event successfully.
Drake, out of curiosity, you've been with the group for a while. How long have you been with Minnesota Furs, and how did that get started?
So I've been with the group, we were well into 2021, and I started first doing my volunteering back in 2012. So I've been with the group for about 9 years. And then to kind of answer your second part of your question on how things got started, back then it was definitely different times. Not only did we not really have a structured events department, but with Furs as a whole, there really wasn't that many structured departments yet. We had a couple steering groups that did certain things related to event research, volunteer recruitments, and then we did have a small section for events, but it was pretty not very formal, just to kind of put it in that sense. So it wasn't until, I want to say, a year to a year and a half later where we really started getting more grounded departments within Furs. Then that way we could divvy out duties. Everybody was within their certain department. Yeah.
So what exactly happens at these events?
To sum it up, our events within the community are for, well, pretty much like I said, community, to get all of our community members together, to get together, have fun, share that common ground of furry. Like, for example, in the past, this goes back before the pandemic, we had regular bi-weekly meets that would take place at the Perkins that's in Hopkins. We had a dedicated back room to where everybody could get together, order something to eat, order something to drink, play, whether it was tabletop, card, or board games. Maybe somebody has a laptop, they got some virtual game going, or just want to get together and, just shoot the breeze with your friends. Then we have our larger scale events, like, for example, I'll just use one of our picnics as an example. Larger scale event. I think historically we've had anywhere from like 50 to 100 people show up. We've even got our neighboring states that usually participate as well, like North Dakota, South Dakota. We've had a chunk of people from the Iowa furry community come up, as well as Wisconsin. And I think I want to say we've had, Rico, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even the Chicagoland area, I think we've even kind of had some people come up. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
The interesting thing about the events, and not to steal the spot from you here, but yeah,
it's fine.
it's interesting because there's always different people that come in from different parts. Not to put them on the spotlight here, but Garland, whereabouts did he come? He flew in, didn't he?
South Carolina.
Yeah, I think he's South Carolina.
Yep.
And I know he was here for this last event, the bowling event that we just got finished up with. He had to fly down to Atlanta and then fly from Atlanta, Georgia, up to here just to come up here for the weekend. So you got some people who are really committed to it.
And I think that's also just one thing that's really cool and unique about MN Furs is that I'm kind of speaking more as a whole, not really specifically to events now, just to kind of touch base quickly. We have a unique system set up, and I guess kind of what I mean by that is that we're very structured, we're very formal in that sense where there's a lot of other furry communities out there in regards to whether it's just events or staffing in general, where it's just kind of a group of people that scatter a bunch of different tasks around where, we have like documentation on how we do things, try to, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. So no, it's a very unique experience that that events wants to bring to our community members.
So touching on that, how do events kind of become a thing? Like, what is the process from, on a thought in my head or on paper to, us actually doing something?
Yeah, so how people can submit an event is we do have a form that is on the MN Furs websites. I believe it's under the calendar area, and then you got like sections on submitted event, how to run an event. But yeah, there's a form that's filled out for it, and then myself and either one or two of the other people on my team will get in touch with this person, discuss their event idea, make sure that doesn't interfere with like a national holiday, another major event. But really, just to kind of try to sit down and talk with that person, kind of get all the raw details on what their event is. Who's it going to be targeted for? Is it going to be like a tier 1 or a tier 3 event? Tier 1 being more of a smaller event, tier 3 more of a large scale event. And then just kind of see what they want to do and try to do what we can to get that idea off the ground for them. And since they're anybody who uses the formal process of doing an event submission, then at that point it becomes an MN Furs sponsored event. And kind of the nice perks for that. This might also get covered again later in a future topic here. The perks about that is that not only will that person get access to the MN Furs resources, but then if there's, like, let's say during the event or even just shortly before or shortly after, if there's any assistance that they need from whether it's somebody on the event staff, any other MN Furs staff, or even some of our MN Furs board of directors, we're pretty much on standby for them.
Now, Drake, you mentioned that there was different tiers of events, tiers 1 through 3. To put it into better perspective, would you say what would be a good example of one of our previous events? What makes it a tier 3 event?
A tier 3 event, in my opinion, would be something like one of our annual picnics or a holiday party, or like, let's say we had a Con Zero, like something at a hotel, like showcasing something related to FM, right? I mean, we even had that way back year 1 or before year 1 of FM. So yeah, tier 3, larger scale events, like I mentioned, picnics, holiday parties, so on and so forth. And then, as mentioned in one of the earlier topics, the other night we had a community member set up and host one of our first food bowling events of 2021, and that would be more of a tier 1 event, more smaller scale, usually attendance-wise anywhere from 20 to 30, or even 30 to 40, so on. Not too terribly tough to set up, and once it's set up and everybody's there, it kind of basically runs itself. So tier 2, like I know some people get kind of confused with, labeling it as a tier 1, tier 3. But yeah, tier 1 just being smaller scale, tier 3 larger scale, tier 2 if I were to give some sort of example for that. Tier 2 I could probably say something like an oval fur meet, where a lot of people get together at our community center that we hold these at, which is the Oval, where we can have more of a larger scale attendance. Also, with it being tier 2, there's like a lot of things that we can do within that reserved space. So they're, depending on what's going on, might need to get some additional staff on board, but not, but it doesn't escalate to being quite as large scale to where that would be a tier 3, if that's makes sense and it's not too confusing.
So, how hard would it be to run an event? And is there any way for me to get help with running an event with MN
Oh, absolutely. Running, and just to start with the first part of your two-part question, can it be hard to run one? I'm going to start out by saying yes. The reason why I say that is I'm just going to kind of use one of my personal experiences. Back when I did some of my first events, which happened to be some fursuit romps way back in 2013, it can be intimidating. It can be scary. And a lot of it is not only trying to kind of figure it out yourself for the most part, but when doing some events yourself, it kind of helps build your own self-confidence. You'll kind of struggle through or look back, see some of the things that you can improve on, some things to make changes to, and then at that point you'll start to figure out what you might need additional help with. So with it being kind of intimidating, there is some documentation that we have on the MNFR's websites under the calendar and events area. I believe the URL is named How to Run an Event, and there's a couple event running 101 guides that are up there. One of them I believe is related to bowling, the other related to a fursuit romp, and in that documentation in great detail, I have everything listed in there from okay, what kind of an event are you wanting to run tier wise? What's your target audience? And then from there, there's a bunch of steps that I'll list to kind of help somebody get started. And again, that kind of leads into the second part of your question. If there's somebody that is, like, let's say it's anywhere from their first, second, or third time running an event, if there's additional resources they need, absolutely. My department is more than happy to help out the event runner or event runners. So within that event submission form, we actually do have a section in there to where the person running it can check if they need additional assistance. And then at that point, what we would do, get in touch with that person, see how much help they need, and then at that point, between myself and the rest of my team members, figure out where the most help is needed and get things scheduled accordingly.
So, Drake, to help me better understand a little bit here, what's the benefits of going through Minnesota Furs for running an event opposed to doing it by myself without Minnesota Furs? What are the perks and benefits of doing such?
That is a great question. The benefits and perks about going through the formal process, and I kind of touched on just little bits and pieces of that earlier. By going through that formal process, again, you get all the perks of being able to use the MNFRS names, and then some of the benefits is you'll get access to a lot of the MNFRS resources. So let's say you're running a little mini picnic and you needed, say, some picnic supplies. We have an MNFRS quartermaster that has a lot of those supplies on hand to be able to accompany that. As well as if you need additional help from the events team, or say even just additional help elsewhere from one of the other departments within MNFRS. Plus, you'll be able to have that bridge of communication to where if there's something bigger that happens, then if we need to get a board member, MNFRS board of directors involved for something, there's that as well. Now, as far as running one yourself, because again, keep in mind you don't have to. There's some people that think that you're either forced or you have to, or highly recommended that you go through that process of the formal of the forms. I will say that while it's encouraged, you don't have to. Some people who are more than comfortable doing events would rather they just advertise it on their own, right? So they have like their personal Twitter, Facebook, or their social media realms. And then at that point, they're free to pretty much basically just run their own event with their own rules. If it does involve, like if there is anything that does come up, say from a community member that just does their own event with their own rules without going through that process, only downside of that is that if there's something that happens, M&FERS is not going to hold any responsibility. I mean, again, if somebody wants to contact us, that's fine. I'm still more than happy to, get pointers and everything, but with somebody doing their own event without going through that formal process, they're pretty much taking that responsibility or all those responsibilities upon themselves. And not to say that and to a point to scare somebody and not wanting to run one on their own, but hey, there's some people that just like to run events on their own, and then there's some that definitely like to be able to use that formal process to get access to the M&FERS resources.
Do all events have to be in person, or could you do some virtual ones too?
Great question. And no, all events, any event doesn't have to be in person. And ever since the pandemic hit, and in-person events pretty much coming to a complete halt, we were very thankful to have the M&FERS Discord up. So Slideways Wolf, who is another team member, I've asked him to set up and host virtual gaming events. So yeah, events can happen virtually or in person. Yeah, we definitely already have a fair bit of gaming nights that happen. As a matter of fact, we've got one coming up here later this month. And with 2020 being over, 2021 well underway, yeah, we started to have a lot more in-person events, which I know that's going to lead into a future topic here. But yeah, events can be in person or virtual.
I want to just quickly add a quick talking point with you, Drake, on the whole topic of virtual events and see if you agree with me on this front. With the pandemic hitting, it was hard for Minnesota FERS because before the pandemic, and I'm sure you agree, Minnesota FERS was very strongly an in-person only organization, right? So with the new inclusion to virtual events, I know you've been to a few. Have you seen that the inclusion of virtual events have brought new people into the group?
Honestly, I think it has. I'll start with your second question there. It really has, and that's why I'm so grateful that the M&FERS Discord came along, is because ever since a lot of those virtual events started, we've had a lot of new faces come in to those events. So yeah, that has definitely helped. And then to go back to the first part of your question, I wholeheartedly agree. Like before the pandemic, everybody, it was very much more in person because everybody, wanted to be able to physically hang out with one another, seeing each other's faces, smiles, laughter, and yeah, I mean that's the beating heart of M&FERS is our events basically. So yeah.
And I appreciate Serg bringing up the whole topic of virtual events and kind of looping back to one of our previous talking points. When somebody has an idea for a virtual event and they want to bring it to Minnesota FERS to pitch, does that change anything with the whole submission process?
No, I don't think so. I'm always willing to hear really any and all ideas as far as what our community members want to bring to the table to pitch for an idea. Heck, it can be something so complicated to where you have to explain it to me like thousands of times. Please, this kind of goes back to just another totally separate topic that, where I was looking for ideas or I was looking for volunteers to help with those ideas. Yes, please, come with me for anything.
Yeah, so while we're still kind of running this whole thing, obviously there's rules when it comes to hosting events, be it, on your own or with, with the support and the guidance of Minnesota FERS as an organization. You have how about a rundown of kind of what it would look like, if I wanted to host an event or something, what kind of things, limitations or otherwise, would somebody have to be constrained with running an event?
Good question. to give one good example on that, I'll just use last night's bowling event as an example. So where you might run into limitations with an event that you're trying to run, whether it's yourself or if you have somebody co-heading it with you, is if it's at an event or at a venue like a bowling alley. The first thing you're going to definitely need to do once the event submission is submitted is you have to coordinate with the staff of that bowling alley, and alongside having your own rules and guidelines with the MN First side of it, the bowling alley staff is going to have their own set of rules that you've also got to abide by. So where that can create limitations, as like if you had a much larger scale or a larger scope of what you wanted to do, but then the bowling alley staff says, well, we can let you do X, but this might limit you to be able to do Y and Z. That's where some of those limitations would come in. Same thing would come into play. Like, let's say you wanted to get, say, 30 to 40 people to do like a private viewing of a movie at a movie theater. Then again, there's another example right there is that, you've got to abide by the rules of venue staff. Now, where you really wouldn't run into such limitations is like if you were doing like an outdoor event that's in a public space. Like, I'll just use a first year drop as an example. Those are generally a lot more easier, a lot more, I'll just say limitation free, because again, it's a public space. Then at that point, you're just kind of creating and distributing your own rules as far as where to meet, where are we going on this ramp, are we going to take a break? Is there any general public interactions we want to try to set up? So yeah, a lot of those limitations would come if you're hosting an indoor event at a business, because again, you've got the rules and regulations of that place of business that you also have to follow.
So it sounds like to me that pretty much everything when it comes to just this stopgaps and potential issues for events is mostly just kind of straightening out what rules interfere perhaps between Minnesota First as a whole and the venues. Would that be correct, you think?
Yes, and actually, as you were talking, that also made me think of something else too. So with somebody putting in an event submission, myself, somebody else that's in the events department, or even like, let's say this is also reviewed by other MN First staff members, we might have some questions of ours as well. So it kind of goes twofold, and a lot of it, this is where it kind of can get a little bit complicated sometimes, like depending on what tier or what type of event you're doing. I'm trying to think of an example here. I suppose one good example would be like if there was somebody that was wanting to, say, set up and host a Halloween party at I guess I can just use the Oval as an example. We or events would probably have a lot of questions as far as, how are you setting this up? With the pandemic still being a thing, is there any safety implementations that you have in place in case, like, let's say somebody ends up getting sick? We'll have questions about that. Somebody potentially from the board might have questions about that. And then, of course, you have the staff of that venue, aka the Oval, so that's where both the MN First side of it and the venue side of it will kind of have those not really conflicts, but those areas where you've got to really get your ducks in a row on how you're going to make all of that work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so one more quick question on that, and then we can start moving forward in some of our other topics for the day. Who would I talk to, or where would I go, or for anybody even, if they wanted to find out more information about, different rules for hosting events, or even commonly asked questions on like what kind of things that they need to be prepared for. Let's say Serg over here wants to host his own event over the summer, and he's never done it before. What would be the best way for him to go about, finding some of these things that he might not necessarily think of right off the bat, that would be limitations?
I would say a great place to start, there's a few different kind of pieces I'll touch upon here. The first place to start that I would highly recommend is the section on the MNFers forums on in the how to run an event area. Now, granted, while there's only 2 pieces of documentation in there, I put a lot of I actually went above and beyond putting too many details in there, because there's a lot of things in there that I'll cover about where you might run into, say, a conflict in setting it up and whatnot, but it explains very step by step in what an event runner should do to get an event started and getting it moving. Other places I definitely would recommend, we have an MNFers Twitter. We've also got, of course, our MNFers Discord. We have a channel within the Discord that's called Events, to where there's updates for events that are coming up. And then, of course, we have our email address, events@mnfers.org. So if there's any questions that, like, let's say Serg has or somebody else has that wants to run an event, we have many avenues where we can chat.
I also want to plug real quick a never before seen video back for Furry Migration Online. Drake and actually Vaughn, another member of the event staff, had done a panel on how to run events. So if a visual medium or a video is kind of your thing, that will be available on YouTube. Now, while the panel from Furry Migration Online is not available, they actually had recorded a backup video just in case that didn't work out. So we'll be posting that to the Furry Migration YouTube account. So if anyone wants to check that out, they can.
So where can we actually go and find these events?
Simply put, we have there's the calendar that is on the MNFers forums or the MNFers website. So when you're on that website, you can scroll all the way down, and then there's calendar listings for the upcoming events. As a matter of fact, that made me think of something I forgot to touch on in one of the other topics. So alongside looking at the calendar, we do have some events that are coming up. As mentioned before, yesterday or last night, we had our first bowling event of 2021. This next Saturday, there's going to be our first fursuit romp of 2021 that I have set up and will be hosting. Coming up in July, we'll have our first oval meet of 2021, because again, 2020 just pretty much shut all that stuff down. And then there's other events that are in the works. I've got at least 2 or 3 more things coming up here before Furry Migration. So,
Drake, if you could see anything in the world, and I know that there's a lot of work that goes into making events happen, and you'd love to see more community ran events, what if you could see any type of event, what would be more of an event you'd like to see ran for Minnesota Furs?
Oh, there's so many different answers I have for that. I would definitely like to see more bowling meets happen. It kind of seems like even before the pandemic, those were just not really happening very often. More bowling meets, I think more of a variety of outdoor events would be nice. Like, let's say something like say mini golf, or maybe getting together and having like a little mini picnic. Maybe do like some alongside a picnic, or like a smaller scale picnic, like doing like frisbee golf or just some other outdoor activities. Another fun one would be getting some people together and going to, say a movie at one of the many movie theaters that's in the cities. So I mean, just to name a few.
Is there anything you would want to plug for events or get a word out for?
I think probably one of the main things right now would be, honestly, I'm always still looking for more volunteers. Like, for example, so currently right now, there's myself, Vulan, who is my co-head, and then Slideways Wolf, who is another one of my staff members. Events are, as I mentioned before, they're the heartbeat of MNFers. Not having any events, people, just wondering what's going on, why is nothing happening, kind of thing. So, I'm always looking for more event staff to, divvy out responsibilities to, and getting more events going. So.
All right. Well, so I know that we have a couple smaller events coming up over the next couple weeks, month or so. Do you have any details for us as to kind of what we're looking at, what kind of events and such we have going on? I think we have a fursuit romp coming up pretty soon here.
Yep, so that is actually going to be coming up next Saturday. And again, like I mentioned, that one's being set up and hosted by me, and that is going to be at Mill Ruins up in Minneapolis. It's actually a pretty popular location. Just I've hosted a lot of past romps there. Yeah, just a fun time for all of us to get together, be outside, be together with friends, whether it's in suit, out of suit. Again, this is open to all of our community members of all ages. I know one of the common questions I always get asked at each fursuit romp is that, is this something that's just exclusive to fursuiters? And no, this is anybody that wants to come out. Whether you have a fursuit or not, yeah, just come hang out with us. Have fun.
And just to clarify a little bit, as he said that the fursuit romp is next weekend, we are recording this on June 6th, so the fursuit romp is going to be on Saturday, June 12th. So just shy of a week away from when we're recording this. Hopefully we will have this up for all of you on the 10th. So in all actuality, it's just a couple days from now. So, hey, hopefully we'll see you there.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Well, we're going to move into a couple more topics here, which we might pull Drake into. But before we wrap it up, we just wanted to thank Drake for coming on for our guest speaker for this episode. Drake, appreciate you having you on.
Thank you so much for being our first. You will always be remembered as such.
Thank you very much, guys.
So just to quickly segue here into the rest of the episode and kind of wrap things up. So some current news for Minnesota Furs. I keep trying to say fur immigration. I don't know why. I just got that on my
You're
mind.
just excited, man. I'm pretty hyped about it too. But you're gonna have to wait. It's still a couple months out.
But for current news for Minnesota Furs, we are always welcome to have people attend our board meetings that we do every month. mnfurs.org has the information on those, so if anyone wants to come to a board meeting and just see what happens at one or bring up a topic that they would like us to listen to, those are always available, and those dates are available on the website. But honestly, for news for Minnesota Furs, other than that, that's pretty much it. Drake actually went over a lot of what's happening and coming up with events, since events is kind of 80% of what happens with Minnesota Furs. So that's been covered. Looking forward, what are we kind of looking forward here for, Gray? Just like what's looking forward for Minnesota Furs?
Let me start off by saying, obviously, we had a pretty awesome bowling meet this past weekend, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to this romp this coming weekend. Hopefully it'll cool off just a little bit, but I think it'll turn out great either way. I know that Drake has a couple backup plans in mind if the weather is just a tad too warm for people to comfortably full suit. Other than that, for me, the biggest thing to look forward to is just, kind of counting down the days towards, we can get back into conventions and such. What about you, sir? What are you looking forward to right now?
I am actually really looking forward to this romp that's coming up, and also just really excited for the convention and everything. Definitely going to get tons of photos.
I guess I'll talk about what I'm looking forward to, and it doesn't really work with the release date of this episode, but I wanted to give a quick thanks and shout out to Furality for providing us with some attendance vouchers to give away that we did last week. We were able to give 4 different people vouchers for Furality, and like I said, it's a little bit outdated now because we recorded on the 6th, but I'm going to hop on Furality, maybe with Serg, and see what's going on there.
Heck yeah.
As a reminder to people, Fur Immigration Online did have a VR chat presence as well, so that world is still out there if anyone wants to check it out. And there may even potentially be a special VR chat world for Fur Immigration 2021. So if that's your jam, ooh, that will be a thing.
Yeah, for all of you guys who either can't make it or you just live too far away, that's a good way to be involved. If nothing else, gives you a chance to hang out with some people.
Great. Well, that's what I'm looking forward to today. I guess also, I mean, more of a long term looking forward further out is I'm really ecstatic at the fact that people are getting vaccinated, people are doing their part. And because of that, we're able to have in-person events. Like everyone mentioned, including Drake, I was at the bowling meet yesterday, and it was weird being at a furry meet again after what, 1+ year almost of no events. So I'm really looking forward to what events are in the pipeline.
Just to kind of add on to what Rico is saying, after even just the experience that I had last night, it was very a little bit emotional at times too, just because it's like, man, this has just been great. Like, I just remember it made me think of the bowling events and just other events in the past where, you're at this event for hours on end, and then just going home, remembering that experience, and then so with everybody getting vaccinated, as Rico mentioned, it is. I'm ecstatic that in-person events can finally happen again.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Drake, what are you looking forward to in the upcoming weeks and months and such?
I am looking forward to the continuation of our in-person events, as well as our virtual events, because those are still happening. Because again, I want to make sure that we're still providing the virtual option for people, because again, there's still people that, while they may either be partially or fully vaccinated, again, there's still some people that are hesitant going to in-person events, so we want to still provide that virtual avenue for them. So looking forward to the continuation of events. And definitely looking forward to Furry Migration 2021.
I want to just quickly plug, real quick, one thing of news with Minnesota Furs. If COVID didn't happen last year would have been Minnesota Furs' 15th year anniversary, which is pretty exciting. And to celebrate that, we're working on some special merch, so definitely keep tuned for that.
All right. Well, so we have a little thing we like to do here on the Discord every once in a while, just while we sit here and have fun playing games and whatnot. And our good friend here, Serg, happened to have found a pretty fun little AI generator that does quote inspirational quotes.
Very
so we're gonna try to make this. We're gonna try to make this a trend here. And Serg, why don't you give us one of these quotes to kind of start closing out on?
All right, let's do this one here. Please don't sit on wild animals, no matter what they pay you.
As I smack my mic. Just to quickly plug our socials for Minnesota Furs. We have a Discord. Furry Migration just started up its Discord again as well. We're on Twitter at MNFurs, as well as Facebook, same tag, MNFurs, as well, of course, our website, mnfurs.org. Just one more thing that we just recently plugged was our Telegram announcements channel. So if you're on Telegram, just look up MNFurs again. There's a trend there. And we are posting a lot of our announcements there.
You have to keep it streamlined. Yeah, so with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. A bit of a shorter one. We'll try to start getting a little bit better at this. Just be patient with us, guys. We're all new to this. We're doing what we can. If you want to reach out to us personally, all of us, we're pretty common to be found on the Discord. Again, it's a great way to reach out and meet people. But if you want to reach out to us, say on Twitter, that's another pretty okay way to do it. I know Serg and Drake and Rico, they all post a lot of fursuit pictures. I, however, don't because, I'm a normie. So if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at SharkButtUwoo. I know. Serg is the little Serg. Rico is at Dr. Raccoon, and our special guest for today, Drake, is at BizDrake. You can also reach out to us by email if that's what you're more comfortable with. We have our own podcast email. It's just as simple as podcast@mnfurs.org. So without further ado, everybody have a great week and stay fuzzy.
Later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.